Okay.
¿Puedes hacer una palma así?
Por supuesto que puedo. Entonces vamos a empezar esta entrevista y acción.
So, what is feminist porn and why does the world need it?
Feminist porn is a complicated concept for a lot of people because it's very misunderstood. Why? Because people have this idea that in the word feminist there's something anti-male somehow. That feminists hate men and they want to get rid of them and take the power. And when it comes to pornography, people have this idea that porn somehow is anti-female. That pornography is bad for women, that it's, hurting women in a lot of ways. And the truth is that a lot of the mainstream pornography that is out there today is hurtful for a lot of women. Because it's not really about showing the pleasure of sex, it's a lot about fucking women. And that's really sad and really, really hurtful. And that is one of the reasons why I believe that feminist porn is absolutely necessary. I think that it can really help us to change the way we look upon sex. I think that it can make us understand that men and women are equal human beings and that they can have a really good time together having sex. And that it's really about the pleasure for both of them. But then it gets complicated because people get very nervous when they hear feminist pornography. They're like, wow, what is this? Maybe it's like only women? I hear a lot of people saying that to me and I'm like, no, that would be lesbian porn, right? That's only women. And then they go like, okay, so if it's not only women, then what is it? Is it like ugly women with hair under their arms? And that's like the first thing they think about. And then you start to talk about equality and they are starting to understand that, okay, so maybe it's not so dangerous as it sounds. And then when we keep on talking, I start to explain like the main concept of feminist pornography. So what it's really about, it's about believing that people are people, that we are all human beings, that pleasure should be shared, of course, that female pleasure is essential, the same way as male pleasure is. I think that it's very important to show that women are more than just some kind of pleasure objects. We are there as people, made out of bone and blood and flesh, our own fantasies, erotic ideas, ventures, and we like sex. We like to have sex. And I think there's a lot of people out there feeling that sex is something you kind of do to women, but it's not really something that they want.
Yeah.
And it's a super strange idea. And then they think that that all men, of course, just want to have sex all the time, that they are some kind of penetrative sex machines, like just going for sex. And that's also such a ridiculous idea about men. Because that's not at all how most men are actually. But it's what we see a lot of time in mainstream pornography. So we're starting to believe in those stereotypes of men and women and how they interact. I think that the only way that is possible is having women involved in the process of making it, of actually doing it, of imagining it, of feeling it. And saying, hey, this is what I want to see. This is what I would like pornography to be for me. So we today depends a little on the shooting, but around 90% of women in my film crew. That's nice. A lot of women. Awesome. It's a power pussy team. And I really feel that all of those women are helping me to create a new vision a new vision. So I was saying that when it comes to feminist pornography, it's important that the female pleasure, of course, the female perspective, the crew behind the camera. And then I think that another thing that is very important is the whole production process. It's really taking care of everybody working on set behind and in front of the camera. So it has also a lot to do with what is called today ethical porn, or the whole concept of caring about the process, your actors, giving them all the information before they are coming to a shoot. Because one of the things that is happening today a lot in mainstream pornography is that a lot of production companies, they just call people, actors, they tell them come and shoot on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. But the actors, they don't know anything about what is actually gonna happen.
Wow.
And I think that is a huge problem, because they need to have all the information beforehand, so they can think about what the situation, what they're gonna do, what are their rules, what would they like to be involved in, with whom are they gonna shoot, how much are they gonna be paid for that, how long will the working day be, etc., etc., etc. So that's the whole like ethical porn package to take care of the process.
I like that you already tapped a bit into the next question, which is we have realized that 1/3 of porn viewers are women, but it's still a huge taboo that women actually watch porn. So I wanted to ask you, why do you think this is such a big taboo still?
It is, I think it is changing somehow, because if you go back just 10 years ago, I think it was a lot more difficult for women to acknowledge that they were actually watching porn. Today, I feel that more and more people are starting to share, at least with their best girlfriends, kind of starting to tell that maybe they found something different and that they are liking it. But I think that the thing with pornography in women is that most women have looked at mainstream pornography and they didn't like it. So they think that it's something that is not really interesting for them. They think that it's a genre made for men, done by men, and that they don't really have a role. If you go to Pornhub, for example, where a lot of people are checking out pornography, of course, there's a for women category, but it's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about porn as sex education?
I think that we all have to realize that porn today is sex education, whether we like it or not. It's just the way it is. And that's because we have all this access to technology. We have iPhones, iPads, computers all over, and it is very, very easy to find porn. Because if you are a young kid and in school suddenly someone starts to talk about porn, what do you want? You want to check it out because you don't know exactly what it is. And if you talk to adults you may have around, many times they like avoid the question. They don't even want to talk about it because they get all reddish, and it's like they don't want to acknowledge that it exists really. So what do? Well, you go to your computer and you type porn in Google. And what does Google do? Well, it shows it to you. The first thing it does, it's directly onto Pornhub or YouPorn or RedTube or whatever. And most of the images that you will see, the first images of explicit sex that you will watch as a very young person, will be quite nasty. That is sad, because it's not really the first vision of sexuality that you would like a younger generation to find. And especially when they are not really prepared for it, because they haven't had that chat with adult people about what kind of content it is. So I think that that's one of the reasons why we need to change our idea of hiding around porn and start confronting it. We need to create better porn with better values.
Yeah. So now we jump to period sex.
Great.
What's your view on period sex?
What's my view on period sex? Sometimes it's nice, sometimes you don't want it. That's my spontaneous view. You may have days where you're like, oh no, now I don't feel like it at all. And then you may have days where you actually feel like having sex even if you're on your period. I feel that it shouldn't have any shame about it, because periods are something that women have. We have them every month, every 28 days, or I even have it every 25th day. It's like it comes and comes and comes. So we're gonna have to deal with it. So I think that the easiest way is just to relax around it and go with what you feel, but you shouldn't feel ashamed of it. You shouldn't have to hide because you're on your period. Like I know a lot of young girls, when they're on their periods, they instead of going on the date they wanted, they just stay at home and say they have fever or whatever, and that's just sad. And then my feeling from men is that they don't mind as much as women think they will mind,
Yeah. So how is it that periods are so underrepresented in porn?
Well, when it comes to pornography, there's a few different reasons why it's not shown so much. One of the reasons is a lot of porn is built on the financial structure. There's someone will buy that film online, and when it comes to that financial structure, there are credit card processor companies behind who has to accept the product to want to process that payment. And most of these companies are not willing to process that kind of payments. So that's one of the business reasons why we don't see more of it.
Yeah.
But then I think it's also obviously because of that most porn that is created today is made by men, and they are not really interested in it. It's not really part of their life, so they haven't really thought about it too much. And then it's probably also because of the stigma somehow, that we are not used to see it, and many people feel ashamed about it, and they just haven't really thought about making it. When it comes to images that we produce, fashion images, movies, television, photography or pornography, all those images, they shape the views that people have of real life. So I think that only this last year, when it comes to period sex and period situations and imagery, we have seen a progress. So I think that now we're in a moment where people are starting to think about this.
This is more like curiosity of
Yes.
our team. We wanted to know how are periods treated in the porn industry in terms of logistics. Like, do you keep track of your actresses, or like how?
If I keep track of
How does it work?
No, they keep track of themselves.
Yeah.
No, everybody obviously everybody takes care of their own personal schedules.
Yeah.
But it depends. I mean, as normally it's not shown in explicit movies. What most actresses are doing when they are on their period is that they use a sponge.
Okay.
That is something that is quite used amongst porn actresses actually. Then of course there's other actresses that's on the pill, for example, and if they have a shooting planned when the period is gonna come, they probably push it up a few days. But the funny thing with period sex is that it actually has like a nickname. It's called crime sex. Because it's, if there's blood on the sheets afterwards, it looks like a crime was made. It's super funny, isn't it? Crime sex.
So, Xconfessions has recently launched a movie featuring period sex. We realized that this movie is under taboo and fetish in the categories in Xconfessions.
It's under taboo probably because because a lot of people have this taboo around it, and a lot of the fetish category is probably because of the vampire.
Yeah. Okay.
More than the period.
Yeah.
The way of changing taboos, I think, is confronting them, is looking at them, showing that kind of situations.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, when it comes to the site, we, the categorization of all the films, it's something that is open, and sometimes someone put a wrong tag on it, and then we have to, change it again.
So you
It's
said
not actually it's not myself who is doing it, so I can't.
Yeah.
I can't really tell you why it's. Now I will have to go there and look for it and see if it's correct.
Yeah. So you said it's the first Xconfessions movie on period sex.
Mm-hmm.
Do you receive many period sex confessions?
Not many. We have a few on the site, but it's not something that we receive a lot of.
Yeah. Do you see Xconfessions launching more period sex movies?
I haven't really thought about it, but it's. I mean, it's for me. It's not something that I feel we shouldn't do. But then again, as there's so many things I want to do, it's not in the planning of the next movies, kind of,
Yeah.
But we could. I mean, if people want it, we can totally do more.
We were thinking that maybe you can use a Ruby cup.
Yes. What should we do with it?
I don't know. It's
Should we
awesome
drink
for
the blood?
That is breaking.
We know that it's awesome for foreplay during your period because you don't have to touch blood if you don't want to, and then you can take it out, and it's really practical.
I think that we should ask your followers to send in some confessions using the cup,
awesome. Yeah.
and we can make a movie out of it.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, that would be so cool. So this was the interview. Thank you so much for your time. We're really happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And hey, all of you.
And we would like you to keep the Ruby cups.
Wow, super.
So this is size medium and this is size small.
Yeah,
and
size medium is for women who had children and are over 35. No?
Depends on your flow.
The huge